Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sorting Hat Podcast, the show where everything and anything can and will be sorted. I, as always, am your host, Michael Barryte, joined by my co-host, Brice.
Get hyped.
Get hyped?
Yeah.
You like we're gonna really get elevated, caffeinated, all those sorts of things.
Jolt.
Ooh, I like that. The basic conceit of the show is that we have someone who is a fan, expert, wildly knowledgeable about a subject, and then we sort the things within that subject into the various houses of Hogwarts. Today, we are joined by Callyne Elise, a longtime friend of mine who I affectionately call Callie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You now we're sorting Starbucks coffees.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a long-standing history with Starbucks.
Mm-hmm. I'm coming up on 5 years with Starbucks. I started in May of 2013, and I have been with them for almost 5 years now, and I'm quite happy there. It's a very good time.
And you're training, you're supervising, you're doing everything.
Yeah, I do quite a bit. I work mornings. I do their rushes and work the mornings more than anything. I don't work there at night because I work at a different cafe at night. So, yeah. That's how that works.
And you are also a diehard Harry Potter fan and a Gryffindor.
Yes.
And as far as sorting bias goes, you know Callie's house. I am a Ravenclaw. Reed is a Hufflepuff.
Mm-hmm.
My relationship with coffee is I don't really drink it at all. As in I don't.
I'm so excited to see what's going to happen to Michael's body.
And Reed, literally every time we record, has shown up with an iced coffee.
Why are you going to call me out like that? Callie, off the mic, was saying that the ice ruins the drink, which I know.
No.
I know, because it does, it literally
does change it, but it doesn't ruin it. It ruins the coffee taste.
It numbs your taste receptors, actually. Is the thing is, so you can't taste as much of the coffee when it hits your
right.
tongue.
But it is worth noting, this is another one of these wild and crazy episodes where we're going to be doing some tastings to really understand what is being discussed. Mm-hmm. And so actually in between us, we're currently not in our normal space, which is recording in my bedroom. We're recording in the living room, and we have a piping hot pot of water.
Well, y'all didn't have a kettle, so.
Because neither Alex or I drink coffee in this apartment. It's weird. Look, I get it. We're in the minority on that. But anyway, we've heated up a bunch of coffee. We're going to be now pouring it into our...
French press.
Yes, into the French presses. I'm going to move the microphone away from you so it doesn't... Thank you very much.
If you don't know what a French press is, it's the one that you put the plunger in and then you push it down.
Yes, and we have 3 French presses, and we have a blonde roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast that we're going to be checking on out. And right now, Callie's setting a timer, and then
it's gonna steep for 5 minutes.
Yes, it has to.
Callie, do you know like what kind of roast is it like? Typically in like the Folgers freeze dried kind of cans, that's gonna be a dark roast, right?
Is not a dark roast. I think Instant's typically medium. Mm-hmm. And yeah, when they change it, it is changes the flavor a little bit. But I think most instant coffee tends to be. I mean, I guess they have dark roast instants, but
is it typically just easier to keep the flavor after you put it through the preservative process or something?
I don't know. I think instant's terrible, but that's just my opinion. Well, it just doesn't. Well, because I mean, coffee in itself is relatively instant. I mean, we're gonna let this sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll have coffee. So it's not instant, but it doesn't take too long.
Gotcha. Now these respective roasts, you were talking about region and things like that. Mm-hmm. I suppose you should clue us into what this blonde roast... clue us into which one we're starting with. The blonde?
We're going to start with blonde.
Okay. What can you tell us about this blonde roast?
Blonde roasts are roasted for a shorter amount of time than medium and dark roasts. Mm-hmm. There is this floating around rumor that I get every day where they're like, well, blonde has more caffeine. Technically, there is more caffeine in a blonde roast because it is roasted for a shorter amount of time.
So does it burn off?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You will there is technically a less caffeine count in a dark roast than there is in a blonde roast. It is not in any way significant. You are not going to like walk out of here buzzing like crazy with your blonde roast as opposed to your dark roast. There are coffees that do, like a cold brew is going to have a significant amount more of caffeine because you brew that cold as opposed to hot, and that changes it. But this specifically is the blonde roast is roasted for the shortest amount of time. And the beans are going to, that is another thing, is that the beans are, what I went ahead and did, and I brought us a blonde roast from a Latin American region. The medium roast is going to be Latin American as well. And then our dark roast will be a Guatemalan roast. Yes. So you can get your coffees from different regions. That gives them different flavors. It gives them different bodies, different acidities. That's how you taste a coffee, is through their body, through their acidity.
Okay, so what are, I suppose, just specific to this blonde roast? You said this blonde roast is from Guatemala?
No, this blonde roast is a Latin American. It's called Veranda. I've brought my fancy little coffee passport to help us along. So it is a Latin American blonde roast. It is called the Veranda Blend. When they say blend, it means that there's going to be a couple different types of blonde roast beans that are blended together to make this.
I see.
Yeah. There are flavor notes. Coffees have flavor notes just like wines do.
Great.
And Veranda's notes are mellow and soft.
Mellow and soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
An interesting thing I learned about blonde roast, just from like a little bit of reading I was doing, is apparently, and maybe the reason why you're like, why did I not hear about blonde roast until like 2 years ago or whatever? Originally, it was called cinnamon roast, and people were actually like, I don't want to drink that because they were mistaking that that it would taste like cinnamon instead of it being the color of cinnamon, the roast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, so why was it called cinnamon? And you were one step ahead of me.
Yeah, and so it kind of fell out of favor, and then they rebranded it, rebooted it.
If you look, the blonde roast actually has a lighter color than a dark roast. Like the beans themselves are blonde, as opposed to being an actual dark roast, which is where the term blonde roast came from.
And I would just want to say to the blonde roast, formerly known as cinnamon roast, I applaud you and your comeback.
Oh, just the fact that they looked at it and were like, we can fix this. We're just going to change some terms around and everything will be cool.
Absolutely.
Starbucks marketed it smart too, because they said this is the coffee for people who don't actually drink coffee, because it is so mellow and mild that you can drink it without cream or sugar if you want, and you will still enjoy it. It won't punch you in the face like some people think coffee does. There's our timer. Okay, so
we're now steeping both our blonde and medium.
I'm going to press a little button.
And actually, just speaking on Starbucks, I didn't get the opportunity, but this weekend I was in Seattle, so I was right where it all started.
You were at the Mecca.
I
don't
was.
know if that's offensive to say.
I was, and I don't think so. Maybe it is, but in either case, I had wanted to maybe go to the original Starbucks, despite not being like being a good capitalist, I suppose, and being like, where did this all start? But then I wound up at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, which is like right near the Space Needle, and they had this Jim Henson exhibit that was incredible.
Oh yeah, that's
I
your
would
shit.
have gone to that for sure.
So that was the thing that won me over that day.
Also, I heard like when you're in Seattle, if you're trying to do Starbucks coffee, apparently like the flagship might not be like necessarily the cool thing to do, but in Seattle they have the Starbucks Taste Kitchen where they like have new menu items that might not ever actually like make it down to stores. So you can try
That's
them.
fun. All right, so we now have our coffee.
Correct. When you're tasting a coffee, whether it be Starbucks coffee or any coffee, there's a couple steps to tasting coffee properly to get all the notes and all of the flavor that the coffee has to offer. The first step is to cup your hand over your nose, and your nose is going to go right over the lip of the cup, and you're going to inhale deeply and smell all the good coffee smells.
Everyone go get your coffee ready. Do this with us.
All right, so
Cup it and smell.
we're cupping.
And then you think about what you've smelled. I think Veranda smells like peanuts, like peanut butter. Like when I open up the things, I smell peanuts. I smell peanut buttery, very nutty, fun and nutty flavors.
to me, I'm the worst person at this.
You're not.
I'm just getting more of like a barky sort of smell. Like
That's totally fair.
maybe cedar.
So notes can consist of herbal, which is something that's something. So you could be smelling an herbal note. It's totally something you could be.
And that makes sense because aren't coffee beans actually like the pit of a cherry? Yeah, it's
Correct.
like it's not necessarily like an actual bean. So it makes sense that like stone fruit, if you ground it down, would just smell like
Sure.
that. I get like I'm getting like buttery crackers off of it.
Buttery is also, these are all, you boys are doing very well. These are
Uh-huh.
all words that are actually used to describe our coffee in the like glossary at the back of my thing.
Hell
Those
yeah.
are words that are actually under there is buttery, a smooth, rich flavor and texture found in some Indonesian coffees.
Oh wow!
So good job.
If you're doing it at home, tell us what flavors that you're picking up. When
yeah,
when
let
you
us
try.
know
Yeah, like
on the Twitter at
do it-
sortinghat_pod.
Do a taste test. Let us know like what kind of smell you got off your coffee.
And if you notice, were you hit with this smell, or was it more of a softer air of a scent? Do you understand?
I had to take a few big whiffs in order to pick it
Yeah,
up.
I
It was
mean,
very mellow.
I definitely smell it, but it's a more subdued smell than at least the coffee that like growing up I would smell around like the folks' kitchen, like my parents just being like, "We're having coffee." You can smell it all the way down the hall. This is much more subdued. Like I can move the cup away and I'm not really catching anything.
Yep, that's very common with veranda blends or with blonde blends, and that's what they want out of blondes. They don't want it to be overpowering. It's a very soft, mellow way to wake up.
This seems like the coffee that would be had on like a rainy day. Mm-hmm. Like it's unobtrusive. It's pretty light on the. I mean, it's blonde. It's light. Hooray! I'm killing it. I should probably drink this and perk up a little.
So when you're sampling and tasting coffee, you want to make sure that you are tasting the coffee on the entire palate of your mouth. In order to do that, you must slurp the coffee. So when you taste it, you're going to literally slurp it and get it all over the... That's actually really good. I'm like shocked at how good that is. Slurp it so that it sprays all over your mouth. And think about where it's sitting on your mouth, if it's at the back of your mouth, if it's at the front of your mouth, if it's heavy on your mouth, if it's very light and bright or airy. You can use words like bright. You can say bubbly or airy or soft or mellow. Like this is a very like silly, easy, like coffee's very fun and versatile in that way.
Okay.
So yeah,
I
slurp
suppose
away.
we're gonna give you that ASMR.
Enjoy this gross slurp sound, listening audience. I did too hard. I went too hard. I'm gonna have to go back in for another one and not be so aggro this time.
Michael looks confused.
Sorry about that. That was disgusting.
I mean, This is definitely coming from. It's interesting coming from a person who does not drink coffee primarily for taste reasons. So I'm trying to like put that bias aside.
Of course. Where would you say it's sitting in your mouth? Is
For
it
me, it seems to be just getting to the front,
like right
it's-
in the front?
Yeah, it's sticking in the front and it's just hanging there. It's like lining the sides, but it's not getting on the top.
Would you say it's heavy or light?
I don't have anything to gauge it off of.
That's okay.
So this is a little tricky. I'd say middle, but maybe I'll feel differently when we try the medium.
You will.
Yeah, this
and what
feels
you'll
very
do,
light.
you can take one more sip, and then I've brought some food for us to pair with it.
Yeah,
And
Callie came very prepared and also brought pastries from
Yeah,
Starbucks.
there's like 3 different pastries for each of the copies. I am the happiest I'll probably ever be on
well,
the
it's
podcast.
because it's basically I just brought breakfast for dinner is what I did.
Sure.
So, and I love breakfast for dinner. So give me French toast all day long. No, actually, food pairing with coffee. Coffees are roasted and crafted to pair with certain things to help bring out the flavors. So now you can taste. I have a lemon loaf here. I have citrusy, lemony.
Love a lemon loaf.
And you can take a bite of that and then take a sip of your coffee again and see how different the coffee is going.
I love a lemon loaf. I'm going off to prison with Oscar Wilde now.
Oh, that makes it much more sharp.
Isn't that different? Mm-hmm. The lemon completely changes the flavor of the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And I'm getting more of those. It's more pronounced, especially now that I've had the cake. I really can taste that peanut element that you were saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot stronger once it's actually inside my mouth.
Yes.
It's more earthy for sure.
And I feel like, as far as the body, I feel like it mostly stayed in the front part of my mouth.
Yep. So they have it, Starbucks has it recorded here as being light in body. So it's light and airy. It's not going to be too heavy. It's not going to last forever in your mouth. It has a medium acidity. Acidic, the coffee is acidic, as we all know. Yes. So certain coffees can have more acidity, less acidity. The more acidic a coffee is, the more I like it.
Maybe that's what drives me away from it is the acidity.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But
well, then you would be a candidate for cold brew, my friend, because there's like no acidity in cold brew.
Understood.
And people are all about. I'm sure you've seen the cold brew like trend like floating around LA. Everybody, and their mom.
It's hot as hell out here. We don't want to have hot coffee on a hot day.
True.
I feel like this is probably the same controversy that happens with the tea drinkers over iced tea.
And the comment about pairing things, it definitely is familiar to me. And like with tea drinkers, there are those certain foods, especially like with matcha teas in Japan, like in tea houses, they'll serve certain elements or like certain sweet things to kind of cut the matcha.
Tea drinker sounds like a slur for an Englishman.
A little bit. But
like, if you're trying to like tell this dude like that we're gonna win the American Revolution, you call him a freaking dirty tea drinker.
Yeah. I like that you started in a far harder place and then you like toned it down when you're like, they're a dirty tea drinker.
Smelly.
But okay, so are we?
Let's. Are we gonna sort this now?
Yes, we absolutely should. Do you have any feeling in one way or the other, Callie or Reed, on this?
What do you think?
It is light and airy and mellow, and that to me, I feel like Ravenclaws are very light on their feet. They're very airy and puffs too. Hufflepuffs can also be very.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not harsh enough to be a Gryffindor or a Slytherin.
Definitely not.
And it doesn't sneak up on you like I think a Slytherin would as far as its flavor.
And it's very forgiving.
Yeah, I would probably put it in Hufflepuff because of the fact that they like it had like such a misstep with like its name that it had to like completely change its name and tell people like, oh, okay, you're actually fine. And I feel like that would be something that would happen to me if I were a coffee.
You have to change your name just to get people.
I would just out of the gate,
are.
I'd put a bad foot forward. I'm not good at first impressions. I think also just because it's like you guys are saying, it's kind of like the copy, like don't worry about it. It's like
very
you're
very
gonna have a good time. We're gonna have some cake with it.
They do actually recommend a chocolate chip cookie as a food pairing. I can't think of a better representation of puff than a chocolate chip cookie. So we're gonna go with Hufflepuff.
Sure.
Great.
Yes.
Sorted.
All
Miranda
right.
is the puff.
All right. So now we have a medium roast in front of us.
Yes. What is my medium? Who am I doing? Hold on.
We have a Cassie. I think that might be
Komodo dragon. Yes, Cassie's we're saving for last. So this is Komodo dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun,
Oh, man. I hope this is poisonous.
Why would you wish that upon us?
Just so that it's
But
accurate.
this is not.
Well, guys, it was a good suicide pact.
You know I don't think about what I'm saying until it's already coming out of my mouth.
It's true. Never are words that are formed, particularly on this pod, I think by us, it's just like a tumble and a fall. Like,
Oh, yeah. More tumbles and falls for me.
But
For
I feel definitely you've had the like rub off factor where now I think less, and then you roast me for it.
Dumber by being his friend. I'm dumbing Michael down. You're gonna try to do algebra sometime and be like, fuck, read, no.
Nah, man, I do algebra every day. I wake up out of bed, just quickly do some math, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm still sharp. All right. And then I wipe off the mirror, and then I'm like, what is it? A Simple Mind? Nope, it's not A Simple Mind. The Russell Crowe movie, A Beautiful Mind.
A simple mind.
Look, man. Like we said, I'm going. Need to do
Simple
more
mind
math.
would
in
be
the
if
morning.
you
More
walk
caffeine.
in, it would just be a guy like staring at the blackboard for hours, going,
But
I don't get any of this.
But maybe this is also the coffee starting to kick in and make me like really roll.
Maybe Blonde Rose
because
has more
yeah,
caffeine in it than
dude.
I thought it did.
This is gonna be like Michael on drugs.
I don't drink coffee. There was one time where I was at improv camp. I was like one of the. They're called squires, as like assistant counselors at the camp, and one of the counselors came by and he was like, I did a Starbucks run for all of us because it's really hot and we're all exhausted, and I had a frappuccino of some kind, and I have never been more like
You were wired.
Yeah,
and then like afterwards, like we gave Michael one that doesn't have any coffee in it.
Yeah.
and
No,
you're just
I-
tearing your clothes off
I
and running
only
into
had
the
half.
forest.
And it's funny because we have people that will come in and they'll be like, I'll take a frappuccino, and there is not a lot of coffee or caffeine in a frappuccino.
Right.
It's like a
but-
milkshake.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, there is technically coffee in it. It's not a lot. You can get more put into it, but people be like, I can't survive my day without my coffee, and I'm like, I totally feel you.
I wonder if that's why they have the cream based ones, because like they would have people come into a coffee
Kids.
shop and go, yeah, and
Yeah.
be like, no coffee for me, please.
Yeah, we have kids that come in now and want their milkshakes pretty much. So we have cream ones so that there's no and all of the stuff we have for that is, but they've got all their fancy sugars and stuff too.
Do you ever make puppuccinos, the ones that are for
I
dogs?
do, and I'm
What's in
super.
that?
It's just whipped cream. Don't get me started. I'm a big animal activist. Love me some animals. I work at LA's Cat Cafe. I know for a fact that sugar is not great for cats or dogs.
No, they can't metabolize it very well.
A puppuccino is whipped cream in a cup.
That
Go ahead.
sounds like, especially in such a like liberal and animal conscious community, it like everybody in LA is like, oh, can I have a brunch at a cafe? Oh, well, it won't serve my dog, like they won't put out water for it. No, I will not be gracing you with my or my dog's presence. But to be going to Starbucks, I've until today I had no idea
People
that this
feed their
even
dogs cheeseburgers. When your animals are like your kids, it can be very easy to like
spoil them.
Yeah, to spoil them because they'll beg and
Because
whine
they
for
love
it.
it. I mean, the
Yeah.
dogs love it.
Sure.
Like,
I mean,
humans
of course,
shouldn't-
I
humans shouldn't
love
even be having that much
dogs,
sugar.
but dogs can be very dumb, and that's like when I like my stomach condition was really bad. I had prednisone, which is like a steroid, and my dog Gatsby got an entire bottle of the stuff.
Oh, no.
Like
God.
he like knocked it off the counter
Oh,
and
God.
ate all the pills.
Did they pump his stomach?
Yes, they did, because but like he was just like running laps in the backyard. I think it was pregnant.
Meanwhile, Michael's dying in the background.
he was just like running laps, and my parents were like, "Oh no, this dog!" And poor Gatsby had to have his stomach pumped. and it-
Yeah, so often with dogs, if they have some sort of like medical ailment, like half the time the advice is we gotta make them puke or wait for them to poop it out.
yeah,
that's the general thing, because mostly it's just them eating stuff they shouldn't be eating.
right. Because they're just dumb. Like there are dogs that I definitely have walked that are like, "I'm just gonna eat another dog's poop," and you're like, "Why? Why would you do that?"
So tell us more about the medium roast.
Thank you. The coffee immediately has thrown me off of being able to keep
no,
focused.
that's okay.
Usually I'm going off the rails, but Michael's had one sip of coffee and he's gonna freaking
That's
like
okay.
lose it.
Three. I had 3 sips of coffee.
About to have some more, Michael. And actually, I'm going to correct you. We are not doing this was set up wrong the other way.
So now we're doing
so
the
we're
dark.
doing dark roast, and then we're going to save because my favorite is So this is gonna be the dark roast. Komodo Dragon Blend is a dark roast coffee. It is an Asian Pacific region coffee.
Okay.
Okay. It is the notes are marked as complex and herbal. So I really like this coffee. Just to put all of our dark roasts, honestly, I like except for French roast.
Okay.
French roast is a very common roast that a lot of coffee companies have, and that a lot of people really drink.
It's worth noting when Callie said common, she did do like the slightest head swivel, which really showed attitude in that moment.
That's how we know she's an expert. She knows what to be haughty about.
Right.
Okay. Look, coffee is a pretentious thing, boys. Okay.
No, I
Oh,
get
for
ya.
sure.
But yeah, no, it's like I'm not a huge fan of the French roast. Most people love it and they think that's like the ultimate dark roast, but like tastes like crap. It smells like feet and it tastes like crap. So that's
Let's
why I did
drink
not
it.
bring it. No way.
We're drinking Komodo
We're
Dragon.
drinking Komodo
right.
Dragon. So it's a full bodied. So this might be a little bit more weighing in your mouth. And it has a low acidity. So it's not going to be, you actually might like this, Michael.
Okay.
It is, nice and low in acidity. It's going to have complex and herbal means you're going to get more of a earthy flavor is something they would describe that as. So earthy, or you might get like herbal can be, some people would describe it as someone who doesn't drink coffee. Like Michael might think of this as like dirt or earthy or something to that effect.
Yeah, I've been cupping my hand over my nose, and I'm definitely just getting dirt on this. And I was like, "Oh, I'm broken. I'm a broken palate
Swivel
man."
your cup too; it'll help move around because some of it's
Like
gotten sat at the bottom. Yeah, and
the
then
oils and
the oils and especially because this is low acidity. So and then you can slurp away.
Okay.
Different, isn't it?
Yeah, I know this one. This one almost has. I don't think like chocolatey is the right word, but
Herbal can be paired with chocolate. That's why I brought. It is good you said chocolate because I've brought chocolate for you to pair with it as a food. So that's not
fun.
bad. You're right on track. You doubt yourself so much, but you're doing a great job.
I also definitely like, in addition to like earth, like it even gets even more dark tasting than that, like almost like a charcoal.
yeah, like I'm getting for some
charcoal
reason
a little bit.
I'm thinking like dark maroon.
Yeah.
The color maroon.
Yeah, just
Okay.
like I
Or
can't.
the Bugs Bunny insult.
It took me a minute.
Delightful. So what else can you tell us about this?
Okay, let's see here. What can I tell you about this? They like to pair this with cheese and butter. So a cheese Danish or like a cheesecake would be perfect with our dark roast. Very savory, rich, thick, buttery things. A croissant or a bun cake. Yeah.
Speaking of where this region and then cheesecake, have you ever had Japanese cheesecake?
What makes it Japanese?
I feel like
The method?
I don't know. It's a little bit less dense. Like a New York cheesecake, you know, like you're like really getting a bite when you get into it.
New York cheesecake is thick, heavy
so dense.
cheesecake.
Yeah.
It's very dense.
Whereas like the Japanese cheesecake, I think this is Japanese, or maybe it's like another technique. It was like at a Japanese restaurant I had it at. It was like a lot lighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like not quite like a custard, but it definitely felt like somewhere in between those two things, if that makes sense.
Huh.
So now you can try your dark roast with a chocolate croissant.
Okay.
Chocolate is one of the most common pairings to coffee.
Sure.
It is quite delicious, and you see chocolate in everything, whether it be a breakfast item, a snack during the day, or something for dinner like coffee and is it?
Why do I not know how to swallow liquid suddenly?
It's because you're trying to slurp it, and slurping can lead to choking. So be careful, please.
I'm a child, so I'd be careful with everything.
But feel free to see if the chocolate changes the taste or flavor.
Okay. Gonna have more croissant because it's chocolatey and good. And I'm going to have some of this coffee.
See if the coffee tastes brighter, if it tastes nuttier, if it tastes smoother, sweeter.
I'm definitely the brighter stuff,
Yeah.
like, especially like coming out of the butteriness of the croissant.
Croissant.
Dudes, why do French words you only say half the word?
Oh,
Any
I don't
word
know.
you're not gonna complete it
I have customers who come in and are very seriously. They're like, "Can I get a croissant, please?"
into a Starbucks.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Serious.
I love
Dead
people.
serious. We also offer something called sous vide bites now. They're egg white. They're egg bites. So they're literally, but they're called egg white sous vide bites. And they come in and people are like, I mean, we still get people that get crazy over their macchiatos and they're in a venti cup and complain about it.
You're just getting visited by Jada De Laurentiis from Food Network.
yes, absolutely. But yeah, it is interesting when I do notice when people ask what the actual dark roast, because we will change our dark roast depending on what's in season, depending on what they're sending us, depending on and each of those dark roasts are going to pair differently with different types of breakfast pastries. And there's always one customer who's like very quiet about it, but they'll be like, "What are you serving?" And they'll be like, "I'll take that and a chocolate croissant." And you're like, "Oh,
this
you
person
did the
knows
math."
what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That guy might be me next time. I'll probably forget.
Get yourself a coffee passport. Is there anything else I want to tell you about this? Do we want to sort this guy?
Yes, absolutely. I feel that this is a more aggressive roast. I'm not necessarily feeling Slytherin on this one, but maybe I can be turned in one way or the other. I feel it's between a Gryffindor and a Ravenclaw. However, I can't really specify as to why outside of just I've ruled out Hufflepuff and Slytherin.
Listen, all I'm going to say is a Komodo dragon is a snake with legs.
Sure, that's valid.
There's no difference.
Have you ever seen a real like big dragon, like those big lizards?
I have never seen. Like, I'm terrified because I know Komodo dragons are poisonous, right? It's a dinosaur that's still alive and it's poisonous. If it's not, whatever. Sorry, listeners. Yell at me in the comments.
Sure. Do you feel that it's going in one way or the other, Callie?
I think that it's very full-bodied, as it was described. So that means that there's a lot more bubbly, bouncy, bright acidity. So I would say, like, I could see it being a Ravenclaw. We were saying, is that one of the?
I was saying Ravenclaw or Gryffindor.
Or Gryffindor.
I mean,
it could be a Gryffindor too. Yeah, sure.
Out of the three, what do you? How does this like land in the popularity or exclusivity? Because that will help us too.
Ooh, yes.
Komodo dragon's a little. He's like the. So you've got like Sumatra, which is like the standard used dark roast, very like jock-ish, you know. And then you've got French roast, who's like the goth kid that everybody like knows, and he's very obvious or whatever. Komodo dragon's like the underdog for sure.
Ravenclaw.
And really,
Yeah.
That at least to me, like, if it's one of the less covered houses.
No, I say
as the Harry
it's
Potter
underrepresented, and I
sagas
also
go.
feel like it's undersympathized. Mm-hmm. Everybody always treats the Ravenclaws, especially in like the Harry Potter lore, as like people who don't really need help ever. And so I feel like if I were like somehow accidentally got put into Ravenclaw, I would be overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah,
Imagine being the
like
dumbest
they
person.
just know everything, and
Imagine being the dumbest person in the smart house.
Sure. I mean, I'm overwhelmed all the time, and like am a Ravenclaw. It's the curse that we all bear as Ravenclaws.
Because you overthink things.
Oh, all the goddamn time.
And you're gonna do it way more when you get this caffeine hitting your bloodstream.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I've moved into a similar position that you are, Reed, which is the normal ball of.
I curl my legs up next to my body on the chair when I sit, and it drove Michael crazy. And now he's doing it.
I do that all the time. Really, Michael?
Maybe it's
because we were in an office and Reed is like a weird creature just like crawling up, and anytime anybody would walk into the office, you would assume
He shrinks into like a pod.
I look like a gargoyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying
I sit like that on airplanes, though.
Michael keeps trying to like demonstrate with his body because podcasts are a visual medium.
Look, I've forgotten where we are now.
We're just like, he's losing his mind.
He's expanding his mind.
Hell yeah.
It's
this
fine.
Is like,
it's fine.
For anybody else, this is the equivalent of having a mushroom trip. But Michael's just had 3 sips of coffee and is like off to the races.
I understand that I'm like plain as plain vanilla can be on like a lot of stuff. I don't drink coffee. I don't really drink alcohol. It doesn't take I don't like smoke weed or do heroin like all the cool kids. Like,
I love that you had to specify you don't do heroin.
You know, just to throw that one out there. So like any degree of anything is immediately going to teeter me like far out of my comfort zone.
With your coffee? With your coffee tasting?
Yeah. It's not
We're
my
living
normal.
life on the edge. We're the bad kids. We're the ones that they come to for the stuff. I mean, I do sometimes feel like I'm selling crack to people.
Yeah.
But...
So what about this medium roast?
So I saved the best for last. That's why we are doing the medium roast now. I brought Cassie's Yellow, which is actually seasonal coffee. So Starbucks will have a couple seasonal roasts that they send us. They don't do it as much as they used to because they care about their frappuccinos and their unicorn crap.
That unicorn drink it doesn't taste good is the thing.
That's because there's no coffee in it.
Yeah, because they were just going for like what it looked like.
Right.
And then you would drink it.
It was pink, sweet, and sour. Like,
it's all syrups, right?
It was manufactured evil is what I would describe it as.
Like Instagram culture is really changing the way that we perceive foods. And you know what I just read about this recently. Have you ever heard about the futurist style of cooking? Part of it, like, it was very much about like we aren't going to like even think about food in the same way anymore. And part of it, they're like parts of your meals you should not even put in your mouth. It's going to be like you're just looking at it. You're sometimes smelling it. You might have like light sources affecting it. And like there was a menu item that I put in air quotes that was a bowl of chilled milk with some grapes in it and then like honey drizzled in, and like you would put a green light on it. And that was a recipe from this cookbook.
What?
What?
The futurist movement, like it was like
that sustains you how?
It's just to be like appreciating food in a different way. And I think
they also have restaurants where you go in and it's completely blacked out. There's no lights or anything. And the waiters are all legally blind and they work there. And you have to eat your entire meal without seeing it at all. And you have a different experience eating dinner without seeing it.
Yeah.
I feel like I can simulate that experience pretty easily by just turning off the lights.
Fun fact,
in my
I looked into
apartment.
doing this as like a date night thing to do this. It is stupid expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
the
insanely
minute that you throw a gimmick on anything,
shut the
your
lights off.
upcharge is just like whatever we want. We did it. We removed like you have to take off your socks and walk on your hands and now eat some beef.
Pay
like
us
congratulations.
$85 and don't forget to tip.
Yeah, no, Alinea is considered to be one of the best restaurants in the world. It's one of the only Michelin-starred restaurants we have in the United States. There's not too many. They don't even do Michelin out here in Los Angeles because they just think we're too gross. And Alinea actually has a pillow of air that you're served. And they cut open the pillow and you smell it. And that's usually sometimes all there is to the component. And then you might pair it with another food.
What?
Yeah, dude. It'd be like a lavender pillow or something like that, and then you would have it with the dessert, and it's supposed to like accentuate. And
I mean, that's like it's the oxygen bars or a hookah bar. Like
you kind of have to think about it like the way
food,
like the way you would look at paintings. Like this is stuff like that's like more modern art,
sure,
as compared to like a classical painting, which would be like a roast chicken. I
like
don't know.
Those museums they got, the pop-up museums.
Hell yeah,
same thing.
I suppose. Who am I to judge?
But speaking of sniffing, we should do the old
yeah.
cup
So
smell.
this is Cassie's Yellow. It is a very special coffee because it smells delicious. Not only is this coffee, this is a Latin American region. It is considered a medium roast now. This coffee breaks all the rules. which is why I kind of already feel like I know where I want to sort this coffee, because this coffee has bright, very citrusy notes to it. It goes great with citrusy stuff, but it also has very chocolatey, herbal notes. You're going to get lots of berry, like fruity, chocolatey, darker notes. And it actually was a dark roast the first 2 years that they manufactured it. And then last year, they changed it to a medium roast because it didn't make sense that a dark roast was going to be as acidic as it was. It didn't meet coffee standards, and so they changed it to a medium roast. So feel free to taste now. But
so it was miscategorized.
It was not miscategorized. I think now it's miscategorized. I think this is a dark roast.
Oh.
I would consider this a dark roast. However, as of today, it is considered a medium roast, but it used to be considered a dark roast because it has the notes of a dark roast coffee, a darker, earthier flavor, but because it also has the lemony, citrusy flavors of a medium roast, they thought that it needed to be one or the other, and so they went ahead with a medium roast is what it is now, but it used to be a dark roast.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if it's because, like what you were saying, it's combining the sharpness of citrusy notes with with the chocolatey, earthy stuff. But my first instinct was like almost like a goat cheese sort of like sharpness.
Sure.
Because goat cheese has sharpness to it, but it's also a young cheese primarily, so it's usually like really bright and creamy. And that's what I was getting from this. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel different when I taste it.
Go for it. Give it a try.
Ooh.
I could drink this whole cup with nothing. This is my coffee.
This also has like, now that I've tasted it, it's like a red wine almost notes into it.
So do you taste like berries and things like that?
Sure.
I'm more aware of it having tasted it now. Also, I'm just going to throw out electric fire as a word that came to mind.
Hell yeah. Michael's losing his freaking mind.
Electric
I love
fire.
it.
Yes.
What kind of fire do you taste after you have lemon? Have some lemon.
Oh, no, we'll find out.
Thank you.
This lemon is great.
It's pungent, that's for sure.
I'm really coming around on, like, lemon cake sort of stuff.
Lemon and coffee go very citrusy, lemony things. Orange too.
Lemon gets a bad rap though. It's like considered like a grandma flavor, but I think
straight
it's
up like
so
shotgunned
good.
it.
Isn't it great?
Like it's so much bolder now.
Yeah, but not in a bad way.
No,
in like a full throttle way.
Yeah, it's like a very strange. Like I was slingshotted through the flavor, but the slingshot harness that I was like pulled back in was a pillow.
So weird. This is so weird. Usually I'm the one who's like barely makes sense. I feel this one more in the back of my palate than especially than the blonde.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a medium body and medium acidity. And it is balanced, smooth, and rich. Rich is another good word we can use to describe this because it is so full bodied. And yeah, it's definitely something you're going to taste in the center or in the back of your mouth, less than the front of your mouth for sure.
Yeah, it's hanging back there.
With the lemon added to it, it almost becomes like a very, very light in the profile, like grass. I can just have a little bit of that. Oh, it's so good.
And it hangs around too. It doesn't just like escape real quick. I actually have also, when I first started working for Starbucks, my trainer did coffee tastings with me, and he was actually doing a like coffee championship where you try to craft your own drink, and he sampled an African coffee, Kenya, and it paired well with citrusy things such as oranges, and they said cranberries, oranges, and things like that. And he was like, hear me out, and he pulls out a bottle of orange juice, and he pours the orange juice into the coffee. And I looked at him with the shock that Michael just looked at me with.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous.
Yes, it surely does. Quite possibly one of the best cups of coffee I've ever had.
Whoa, how much did he put in?
Just a splash. It wasn't like he dumped half and half, but he put a splash in how you would add, somebody might add some milk or cream to it.
Should I go grab some orange juice?
I mean, do you have orange juice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we gotta have
heck
Michael
yeah.
taste the orange juice coffee. Is this
The
being
blonde might taste better. No, I lied.
Now, is this affected by the different things that are grown in the soil around it? So, like, do we actually
Just a splash?
if this has citrus
Yes.
notes to it, does that mean that it might be growing near citrus?
No, not necessarily. That does not influence it.
Okay.
That's when certain things are grown in. For example, Hawaiian coffees. You always hear how fancy and expensive Hawaiian coffees are. Hawaiian coffees are coffees that are grown in volcanic soil. Volcanic soil is incredibly rich with nutrients, and so they end up with a very rich and strong and powerful.
Oh, so it's more about like what minerals
Correct.
are
Yes.
present in
the
the area.
soil that grow into the tree, that grow into the beans, that ends up bringing us our happy little cup of
Oh,
coffee.
you should pour a little more in there than that, Reed. We both did.
I'm trying to overwhelm the coffee.
Yeah, I
All
may
right,
have
I'm
poured
gonna
too
go for
much
it.
then, but
It's like a chocolate sickle, like a orange sickle with chocolate.
Oh, it's like that chocolate orange you have at Christmas.
Yeah.
I actually really like this now.
I told you, isn't
is
it
Michael's
weird?
new cocktail.
It doesn't make sense, and you're like, why does this make sense to me? Because it doesn't make sense.
Well, it also it's strangely, it's like you're adding two acidic things together,
Yep.
and yet it seems to somehow cancel the acidity. Like
No.
you're
like
not
it balances it. I know it
well, like,
balances it out.
Yeah, you're
I'd
not
say.
really tasting. I'm not tasting the bite or like the subtle bite that comes with orange juice, or really the the coffee.
Sure.
This is blowing my mind because like I've never worked as a barista, but I do go to coffee shops all the time. I have never heard about putting orange juice in
And
coffee
now I'm
before.
enjoying the like the notes of the orange juice even more.
Yep, and that's where this is similar to pairing it with food, where you can pair it with things that complement it, and there's such an array of coffee out there, and so you find what pairs good with that coffee, and you mix those things, and that's why you sip your coffee. That's where when people are sit and watch the world go by with your cup of coffee, and it's because you're experiencing the coffee flavor, and you're pairing it with something that's supposed to enhance it.
Sure.
And when you think about it, it's not like if you like make it all relative. Is this any weirder than putting the breast milk of cows into your coffee?
I mean, no.
Yeah.
Yes, no, like not
Cream
really.
is typically put in it to cut down. It can be to cut down on the acidity attack
Sure.
that you have, and it's also to like mellow it out, smooth it out for some people. I do take cream in my coffee. I like cream in my coffee. I don't mind drinking it black like this one. I'm sipping it and flavoring it, but like when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, like I like to put a little love in my coffee.
Now, how do we feel that this medium roast is sorted? I feel like you were leaning one way, and I'd like to
Yes.
hear you
I
fully
think-
go.
It's a Gryffindor,
Yes.
through and through. Mm-hmm. It is a rule breaker. Mm-hmm. It's got all of the fun and bubbly acidity, and it sticks around a little bit, so it's loyal.
Mm-hmm.
I might be biased because I really do. This is my favorite coffee
Sure.
from Starbucks for sure, but I would say Gryffindor.
What think you, Reed?
Oh yeah, man! Like this coffee is like super exciting the moment it hits your mouth. Like Gryffindors can be self-sufficient and like still get stuff done, but like this was my favorite of the pairings with like the pastries and the orange juice. So and like Gryffindors, like when they work together with other people, they can really like do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you. This is like a fun, daring, exciting Gryffindor coffee.
I do as well. And with that, I'd love to thank you, Callyne, for joining us for this episode of The Sorting Hat. If we want to be finding more of you in some or any capacity, where can we find you across the internet?
Across the internet, you can find me personally on Instagram at Callyne Elise. That's 2 E's next to each other. And then I am a part of the psoriasis community, and I have a psoriasis support page on Instagram. It's at Spotted in Hollywood. It's with _spotted_ in Hollywood. And you can go check me out there.
I think it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good time. And I loved the autoimmune disease. Like, I actually really got into that one.
Yes, the episode prior to this one, or one before it,
It
actually.
was fun to hear about other autoimmune diseases besides psoriasis and how they all kind of link together, because I should not eat gluten, as I definitely just eat down, or caffeine. Both of those are fun triggers for psoriasis.
Oh,
great.
good.
So,
Well, thank you for putting yourself through that for us.
No,
Yeah, like a
nothing.
typical Gryffindor,
yeah.
right through the fire.
That's right.
And thank you so much again for joining us. If you'd like to find more from me, you can follow me at Belated Media on Twitter. If you'd like more from Reed, you can follow them at That Dang Dingus. You can, of course, follow us at sortinghat_pod on Twitter, and like and review us on iTunes, because those reviews are always helpful. And, just tell your friends that, hey, you can listen to this great podcast that I listen to on Spotify, because we're there now too.
Now, with that long breath of a statement, I think we should probably get Michael to the emergency room. He's about to OD.
I'm fine. My legs are all twitching.
He's shaking. He is
Your
shaking, you
eyes are
guys.
bleeding.
Physically shaking.
It's okay, guys. We're good.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, his clothes are coming off. Oh.